I wanted to go over how I design a sheath template. I have a knife here that needs a simple taco sheath with a belt loop. What you need is a piece of paper. Bigger is probably better. I have a couple of pieces of leather here. This is just a 4mm thick strip, inches marked here, and then this is a 4mm strip with a little welt glued on here. I'll show you how I use it. 4mm thick, very soft at this point because I use it for a long time. You need some rulers. You need a pencil. You need an eraser. Let's see, do we have an eraser? And you need a knife like this, cutting knife. All right, so first things we do is we fold this piece of paper in half, put the knife kind of in the lower corner, something like this. Make sure that it's very straight there. And you kind of bend the paper. And now you see this little indentation there. You mark it with your pencil. And now trace the knife. So this is the inside of the welt. All right, so this is the inside of the welt. Now, I mark here where my bolster is, just to know. Next, I take my little piece of leather with the welt and form it around the knife right here. So this gives me an idea of how wide the piece of leather actually has to be. Mark it with my nail here and measure this distance. I'm going to use millimeters because it's easier for me. So this is 10.5 centimeters. So half of it should be 5.25 centimeters. So at this point, the sheath should be total 10.5 centimeters wide. So what I do is I put this welt right here. So this is 1/2 inch welt. So this is going to be the outer point, inner point. And now we measure 10.5. Let's see, perpendicular line here. And so 5 and 2.5 will 2.5 will be right here, and 10.5 is right here. So now what you can see here is that our line that we folded the knife over is actually needs to be, this center line needs to move out this direction a little bit. So if this was our original line, the new line will be right here. And this makes sense because the leather is thicker than paper. So this is the new center line. All right, now we think about how we want the sheath to look, and I want it to be able to pull the knife out with my thumb. So I want it to go to like up to here. So I again mark the point on the handle, put it down here, and mark right there. So this is going to be the top of the sheath. And now we need to draw the outside of the sheath. So outside is really, you can draw this, you don't have to make this offset by 1/2 inch, you can offset it by more or less, it's really up to you. You can make it, you know, you can make it like this if you want to, or whatever, you know, you can make it any way you want. But in this case, we'll offset it pretty close to actually 1/2 inch, I think. So we'll start a little bit thinner here. Like this. So this will be the welt. This is the space for the drainage hole, or whatever, not drainage, but maybe ventilation hole, we'll call it. Okay, now this is going to be the top of the sheath here. Right, so this is the very top. How you make it look again is completely up to you. I'll do it like this. Okay, and the welt, I'll make a little cutout here like this. So the welt shape will be this. And the way I will do it is I will put a rivet here. I'll do one line of stitching. That's closer to the outer edge. And then up here I'll do probably another line of stitching just for backup. All right, so now we have this. What you do next is you have to fold it up, not along this original line that we had, but the new line that we drew. So what I usually do is find something I can trace this line and make like a alternate fold in the paper. See what I mean here. Boom. Okay. Excellent. All right. Now, next is we hold it really tightly and hold it right here with both fingers and cut it out. Now we cut off just one half of this, not both sides, but just one half, because the other side is going to have the belt loop. Okay, good. Okay, now we fold this over like this and we trace along the cutout. So we have something like this. So now the belt loop is going to be sticking out here. So I want my belt loop to be about 1 inch wide. And I make it a little bit less than 1 inch actually, just because it tends to be better like that. We can make it 3/4. Okay, so we can throw all these papers away. Now I forgot one little piece that I need. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the thing that I used to punch out the edge. There we go. Now, so the knife is going to sit here approximately like this, right? So top of the knife is going to be right here. I want the belt loop to go somewhere like this high, and I want it to be a 2-inch belt loop. So let's see, so it's going to start out from here, right, from somewhere over here, and it's going to fold over like this and be attached. There's going to be like a little attachment stitch right here, so something like this. Now the question is where to position it, and this is a hard question actually, because if you put it right in the middle, when you fold it up, you want the belt loop to be hidden by the knife. You don't want it to stick out this way or stick out this way, so you want it to be right in the middle. And you have to remember that the knife will be, you know, it will, if you put it right in the middle, it'll probably be well, you know, there's a welt here and there's no welt on this side, so you basically have to put it, the best way to explain it, I'm sorry, so you have to put it in the middle of this distance without the welt, so like right here somewhere. Does that make sense? Because if you put it here in the middle with the welt, it will be kind of off center from with respect to the knife. So that's where I would put it. Just make sure that I got this right. So this distance is about 4.5, so 2 1/4 should be right here. All right, so this is the center, and it's going to be a 1-inch loop. So 1-inch loop, probably from here to here. All right, so You see this is my alignment mark somewhere, approximately. And the orientation, you know, like this, I think it should be kind of perpendicular, or it should be kind of centered in the middle of these, of this line and this line. This line and this line. So something like this. And I'm going to take it down since I don't have enough paper. But I think this is going to be acceptable. So now I just trace. Okay. So this is going to be our belt loop. The bend is going to be somewhere over here. Now, the last thing you have to do is this corner here, you know, you're not going to leave it a sharp corner, you have to have it curved. And when you are cutting this out from leather, it's easier to just punch it out with a punch. So I actually punch it out here on the paper, so I kind of know what my angle, what my radius will be. Okay. There you go, so you can see that, right? Now I cut the rest out. Let's just cut it with a knife. Like this. And like this. Now we cut the this. Like this, and then the last step is punch out the corner or the edge. And I think this is pretty much it. All right, so this is the finished template. One thing to consider is that you have to remember, you have to think very carefully about which side is going to be the shiny side of the leather, which one is going to be the dull side. So in this case, you know, if it's a right-handed sheath, it's going to look something like this, right? So from that you can figure out which is going to be the inside, which is going to be the outside. And then the last part, that's for me the hardest part, is how to position this loop correctly. Like, I struggle with positioning it right in this dimension. The problem with why this is that the sheath shape really changes once you attach, once you kind of stitch it together. So it's very hard to guess the right position. So in this case, I probably would do it right here somewhere. And it looks good on this paper template, but I don't know if it's going to look good in real life. So that's where I would do it. But again, I'm not sure this is the right thing. So in any case, the way I would trace it for a right-handed sheath, so this is going to be the leather with the unfinished side. So this is, for example, finished, unfinished. Unfinished side would be like this for a right-handed sheath. So that, wait, no. Oh my gosh, this would be left-handed, so it would be like this. It would be like this for the right-handed sheath. You have to always check this because, you know, so this would be the right-handed sheath. Boom, like this. So finished side, unfinished side on the inside. So like this. You would trace it. So what I do is I trace this out first, and then I cut out the welt, and I trace the welt separately on the leather, and then I also trace it on the cutout so I know where to apply the glue. And then I gently kind of tape the welt back on the template so I could use it again in the future. But that's it. Next step will be to make the sheath and see how it fits, and I'll be back and show you how that worked out. All right, this is the result. This was the template that we made, and this is the sheath. Pretty simple stitch line, a little rivet, belt loop, just waxed finish. I like how it kind of looks almost weathered. As far as the fit, I think the fit is very good, at least in this direction. It's excellent, fits in, can be taken out with one hand, does not fall out. As far as things that are good, position of this belt loop with respect to the knife, I think is quite nice. I think if I were to make a second edition here, I would probably move this like 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch this direction, because it looks a little bit, to me, a little bit canted this way too much, but it's a small thing. Unfortunately, at least for me, and maybe because I'm not experienced enough, but I think to make a really nice sheath for a new knife, it really takes quite often 2 tries, especially with a belt loop like this. I can get the size down pretty well, like this size, but the location of the belt loop, at least with my experience now, it's very difficult to estimate that exactly perfectly, since very, very small differences make it look funky. So sometimes it takes 2 tries. But in this case, I think for this kind of a knife, that's not really super fancy. It has some bug holes here and here. So this is kind of definitely a working knife. I think this is quite an acceptable sheath. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully somebody found it useful. All right, so this is the sheath that came from our template. Again, just like we discussed, a simple taco sheath, 1 stitch line, a little reinforcing stitch right here, a nice rivet, belt loop. You can see the inside here, the little angle that we included. Very good fit. Comes out with one hand. Position of the belt loop is good. It kind of hides behind the knife. The orientation here is not perfect in my opinion. It's a little bit skewed this direction. I think if I was going to make another one, I would move it just a hair to the right. Unfortunately, if you're trying to make a really nice sheath, often first attempt is not quite perfect and you have to do it again. Really, the second one would be much quicker to make. And it would probably look just that little bit better. So often for very nice knives, you do have to make 2, but for this one, I think it's completely acceptable. This is definitely a working knife. There's some some insect-eaten things in the handle. It's simple steel. I think it's N690. So I think for this sheath, this will be completely acceptable. I hope somebody found this useful. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.